computer. Welcome everyone, and thank you for being here on another episode of Latino World Travelers Virtual Travel Party. Today, we have with us our amazing Jessie. She's gonna talk to us from Argentina to Uruguay in a day. So thank you so much for being here. I cannot wait to hear everything she has to say about those two countries, which I'm very excited. So thank you, Jessie, for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so happy that you guys invited me to join you. Argentina and Uruguay by far are like one of the prettiest countries I've been in, and I love it. And it's so Latino, so I definitely love that.
What made you decide on Argentina and Uruguay?
Well, I had been to Argentina many years ago because my brother used to go to school there. So I'm talking about like 20 years ago, and we visited with my parents. And it was in winter time, and I remember so pretty. It was freezing, but it was so pretty. So this time around, last year, I have a 7-year-old now, and he loves to travel just like I do. So we decided with my husband to go to Argentina because his best friend lives there. And what a better place to go than when you have like locals living in the place, because that's where you like really get to know like the culture and the city. So that's when we decided to go to Argentina. And then from then I'll tell you how we literally went over to Uruguay in like a couple of hours.
Awesome. So where in Argentina did your brother live?
Buenos Aires.
Oh, in Buenos Aires. Good.
Argentina is huge, right? So I've only been to Buenos Aires because Buenos Aires is like a whole country in itself. It's huge. So the first time that I went, we never even got to go far out from Buenos Aires and we were there for 2 weeks because there's so much to do in Buenos Aires. And this time around, since we had friends with us, they took us like through all of these places. We spent in total 15 days between Argentina and Uruguay.
That's fabulous. 15 days is a very good time.
Yeah. We did.
And where in Buenos Aires would you recommend someone stays when they go there?
Okay, so if you're we stayed outside with our friends, but if you're a tourist, I noticed that you need to be around tourist places, right? Because you don't want to end up in a place where you don't know where you're at. So El Centro, like the city center, has a bunch of hotels, like ranging from all prices, like hostels, high price and hotels. And there you're walking distance to everything, right? Well, walking distance within the city center. Just there, you have a bunch of things to see, like La Casa Rosada, El Obelisco, all of these beautiful landmarks from Buenos Aires. And then you move around in the subte, which is the underground train system. It's amazing because it takes you literally everywhere. So I recommend for tourists to stay where tourists stay. Unless you have a local that you know very well and that they're your friend and you can stay with them, then it's fine. But Buenos Aires is so big that you don't want to get lost there.
Yeah, I can see. Is transportation easy if you wanted to get out of Buenos Aires?
So the subte that I'm telling you is a whole immense underground system. It's kind of like the New York subway. And it's very clear. Like if you have a map, and you're a tourist and you've done your homework, you know where you're going exactly, each place will have the name. You get off there and then you walk around in the whole neighborhood. Because I'm talking about that these are neighborhoods, but they're like really little cities. Like, they're huge. Recoleta, Palermo, all of these neighborhoods, they all have something very special. So like if you're going around, the subte is like the best way to go. Now, if you don't feel comfortable about taking the subte, there's also Uber and taxis. So
did you find them affordable there?
The taxis? Well, actually, it's a funny story because when we went, they were having this whole fight between taxis and Ubers because Uber would just bring them in. And Argentinians are very passionate, right? That's why I love Argentina. They're very passionate in everything. So when we were there, it happened to be that we got a taxi and the taxi started fighting with an Uber that was like literally they were right here and the guy was just like, you're taking my spot, get out of here, you Uber. They were literally fighting and we were in the backseat like, OMG, like what's gonna happen now? Because taxis tend to be, of course, in Latin American countries a little bit more expensive. So Uber came around and it was easier to do and also it's a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I'm talking about, we saw at least 3 fights in the whole 2 weeks that we were there between Ubers and taxis. So I hope now things are like normal now with Ubers,
Yeah.
but we were friends. And
Yeah.
like, it was like seeing somebody from Boca Juniors and another Argentinian team fight. Like, it was super fun. Me and my husband were just like, oh, the same. Like, okay.
Yeah. Something similar happened to me in Colombia, but I had to pretend to be the Uber driver's cousin.
What?
Because yeah, if the police stops you, he's like, you need to know my name and you need to know like, and I was sitting in the front because that was the only way.
Oh my God, a funny story happened to us after we left one of the tango shows. We had gone in a little bus that they take you, right? And they take you back in this little bus to the hotel. But we had to leave early because my kid wasn't feeling good. So we called an Uber. Well, we got an Uber through online, and this guy came to pick us up. His car, literally, the windows were like it was very sketchy. The windows were like broken. There was no thing for the door. We get in, and this is like 10:30 at night, and the town was a little bit far out from the city, right? Everything's dark, and we're like, what do we do now? What do we do now? And then as we're going, my husband didn't know how much it was going to cost him because we were staying a little bit out. So he starts telling this guy like, oh, how much is it going to cost? Da, da, da. And then he gives him one price, and then he gives another price, and then he gives another price. And then we got like, it was like, all right, what do we do now? You know? So we ended up stopping the Uber, getting off, and going back to the tango.
Oh no.
So the thing is that, I mean, there was probably nothing dangerous there. The thing is just for tourists' sake, always like do the tourist thing. Call the taxi. Make sure that where you're at, you tell them, listen, I need a taxi. Yeah. What do you recommend? Because usually the people that work there are the people that are going to recommend you somebody, right?
That is true.
We're doing the American thing where we were like, oh, let's just call an Uber. Let's go.
Yes.
That's what happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, at least the benefit of Uber is that they can follow your route. Like it stays recorded. So that's one benefit of it.
Yeah.
But yes, to stay safe, staying in the touristy areas is the best.
And asking for recommendations. That's always, I mean, don't go into any sketchy places. Just, you know, do your research because Buenos Aires is beautiful. And the people there are so nice. I felt so at home because I'm super loud and everybody there is loud. So
that's very nice. Now, the tango show that you went, how did you book it? Where is it? How much did it cost?
The tango show is called I actually have the Mr. Tango. It's called Mr. Tango. It's one of the most popular, if not the most popular, and the most old school one.
Oh.
And it's really, really beautiful. Like you walk in there and they have it all set up where like Carlos Gardel, and the decoration is very like, it's meant to look like 1950s. And it's a tango show. So they give you the food, you sit at the table, they give you wine because of course Argentina and wine is like the same thing, right? So
right.
your wine, you keep on drinking the wine and you keep on, and while you're eating, they're doing this tango show, which is completely amazing. It's so mesmerizing. Wow. Because for me, one of the benefits that I see in traveling is learning about people's culture and how they express themselves through like music and dance and food. Just to see them dancing tango, like, and it's not just like a one dance thing, it's a whole show. It's like an hour where like artists come in and out. They even have at the end, they even have a horse, like a horse.
What?
A horse comes into like the scenario.
The stage?
Yeah, it's beautiful. So you can book that through either online, because now everything is done online, or if you go to a hotel, they're probably like have all the information there.
That is so cool. Very, very nice. But they come pick you up. You don't have to worry necessarily about...
So one of the things I noticed in Buenos Aires, a lot of touristy places, since everything's so far out, so big, what they'll do is they also give you transportation. So like they'll sell you the ticket with the transportation. Right? Okay. Obviously, I mean, if you're more of a traveler and you've done this like all over the world, you know that there's people that are going to try to, you know, charge more.
Upsell you and stuff.
Especially in Latin America. If you're from Colombia?
Me?
Yeah.
Dominicana.
Okay. Well, I don't know how in Dominicana, but I'm from Ecuador, and everything they try to upsell you, right? Like all of Latin America. So you have to like ask around. Don't go always for the first try. Like there's outside of the hotel, there's usually like the little booths and people are there trying to sell you these things. But most of the things I did notice were everything's transportation. In our case, it wasn't that much so because we had our friend there, or we were taking the subte, which is the underground train. But it's very safe in that manner if you stay within that.
Okay, very cool. Daniela is asking us, what do you think will be the best time of the year to visit Argentina and Uruguay?
Okay, so I've gone in 2 different times. We went in August. Well, when I went back in August, it was freezing. It's beautiful because everything changes, but it's freezing cold. Like it's very, very cold. It's like New York cold in the winter. And then this time around, we went in December. December, it was super hot, like extremely hot, like Miami hot. So I would say, I mean, if you don't, the heat doesn't bother you, it was beautiful because, you know, the trees and the flowers and everything. But the best time would be somewhere in between that, between August and December. Now, if you want to get a cheap deal, like we did, because if you're trying to go in like November and September, November, the tickets are probably going to be like $800, $900. But we went in December, where everything else, every other country is like expensive because it's Christmas. We got it for like $500.
Oh,
yeah, because it's not for them. It's like, you know, it's not the peak season. Yeah.
I would have, wow. And I was thinking, oh, when I visit Antarctica one day, it's gonna
Oh
be.
my God, take me, please.
It's gonna be. You know, you go through Argentina or through Chile, so I'm like, I wanted to do a Christmas cruise because that's the warmest weather. It's -10 in Antarctica during that time, so I'm like,
let me go penguins.
So that's why I've never been to Argentina because I'm waiting until I have to go to Antarctica to do that.
Up there.
But now I'm gonna learn everything I need to know through you. So
I mean, I hope so. Not everything. I still have to go back. There's still, imagine that Buenos Aires is so big that I still don't know everything. I've been there twice and there's probably a bunch of things that I haven't seen.
yes. What about the nightlife there? Is there anything in particular you recommend?
Yeah, well, the nightlife, we didn't do a lot of nightlife because I traveled with my kid, but we did go around the club area with our friends and they took us. They have a whole, like, you don't even need, they have the clubs and they also have like little bars outside of neighborhoods. For instance, Palermo is really, 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 really pretty neighborhood. And they have like little stores, not even bars. They're like stores where they sell you like, I don't know, cookies and Coke and fruits. But outside they have like little tables set up so you can have beer. I think also Argentinians love their birra and they love their wine, so it's everywhere. And they also sell wine. And there's so much people that even from like, that's what I noticed. We would walk around 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon and people were already outside in the tables, having a drink, having some cheese, having some wine. I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. I liked it. And with
so they live a very laid back lifestyle, kind of.
I mean, it's very busy because you see people, and I'll show you the pictures later. You see people walking constantly. But also they take the time to like just sit down and talk. Like they literally love to talk. So you hear, like if you're walking, you're hearing conversations from all sides and they're like laughing and screaming, or they're fighting about their soccer team, or they're smoking their cigarette, like whatever it is, but there's always movement in that city.
Yes. Did you feel welcome? And did you speak mostly English or Spanish there? Did you feel there was a difference?
Yeah, totally welcome. They're Argentinians in general are really, really nice. For some reason, out of the Argentina and some countries, Argentinians are seen a little bit snobbish, but they're totally not. They're just really like, they're really like in your face, kind of very loving and very passionate and they express themselves like, oh, you know. So I felt totally welcome. I spoke mainly Spanish, no English at all. But because, you know, thank God I'm bilingual, so I was good there. My husband as well, he speaks Spanish. And yeah, I mean, they were very, very welcoming. Even like the people from the taxi drivers or the people in the stores, everywhere you would go, they're like, they're the kind of people that, you know, say good morning, good afternoon. Or they all, like, if somebody, you don't hardly know them and they're like having something, let's say, I don't know, ham and cheese, they'll be like, oh, you want some? ¿Querés? You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt totally at welcome.
That is awesome. Now, Esther is asking us, did you try the Fernet con Coca-Cola?
Yes, I
And
did.
how is it?
I mean, people love it. It's good, but I it's not my thing. You know, I'm a beer kind of girl. Yeah,
It's an acquired taste.
day of my life. Yes, it's very Argentinian. Very, very Argentinian.
She also is asking, I've heard most airports closed now for travelers. What are some recommendations when they do open for travelers with the pandemic?
That's a good question, because recommendations would be, you know, at this point where we're at 6 months later in the pandemic, we just gotta watch out for ourselves, right? Basically, if you're first of all, if you're traveling out of the country, you have to be very careful in the airports, to put your mask on, to have a sanitizer and all that, and make sure that when you get to another country, you're not in packed up situations.
Yes.
Which in cities like this, it's a big city, so there's always people. I don't know how it is now, right now, with the whole pandemic, and I know from my husband's friend that they were literally closed off. I think there still are, like, they're not working, they're not going out, nothing, because they're trying to lower the rate. But also, at the end of the day, I don't think we could live in fear. So I think that when this does open up a little bit more and you do travel to a country like Argentina or any other country, you still have to embrace, you know, the country that you're in, but with precautions. Like, I guess things that you didn't do before, like touch everything, now you have to be a little bit more careful. But the whole idea is to, like, live through the city that you're visiting. Because if you're gonna go, like, if I was gonna travel now, let's say that the airports are now open and I could travel, but I'm just gonna travel and be stressed about my travel, it's not worth it, right?
Yeah,
so you have to have the mindset that you're gonna do this, you're gonna do it correctly, you're gonna take care of yourself, but at the end of the day, you know, you're gonna embrace their culture.
Yes. I'll add to that if when you travel, your goal is to interact with the locals,
Right.
you may have a limited interaction if you travel with the pandemic, because locals are trying to stay away from tourists.
Right.
So if you're okay traveling and just doing your own thing and not necessarily interacting with them, then by all means,
and that's a great point.
do it.
So many different type of travelers. For instance, myself, I love to, like, touch everything, and I love to interact, and I love to hang out with locals, and I love to learn about their food and their music and what they do and how they do it. I love to be engaged. Plus, I love, like, the whole aspect of sightseeing. But there's other travelers that are not into that. They're just, like, there to get the pictures, to look at the sightseeing, and to go to, I don't know, the most popular places. There's other travelers that just go to places for museums. There's other places that are, like, other people that are foodies. They only go for the food. So it all depends on what kind of traveler you are. And I think that's basic. And then go from there and do your research to whatever country you're going to go to.
Yeah, those are great recommendations. So how many days in total did you spend in Buenos Aires, and when did you decide to go to Uruguay?
Well, in total, Buenos Aires was 13 days. And we spent 2 days in Uruguay.
Okay.
I'll tell you how you get to from point A to point B.
Yes,
So,
please.
Buenos Aires has the Rio de la Plata, right? So this river, and this river connects Uruguay and Buenos Aires. So you take what's called the buquebus. So it's this giant, like, size. I don't know if it's a boat. It's a boat. Yeah. Well, buque means, yeah, it's a giant boat. And it's like $60, if I'm not mistaken. Well, it was last year. I don't know how much it is now. You have to buy the tickets. We bought them online. And then you have to be there super early in the morning. You take the buquebus right off of Puerto Madero, which Puerto Madero, I'll show you pictures later. It's also super pretty. It's like an old docking right next to the river. And what they did now, it's very industrial. What they did with that is, within the industrial part, they created, like, stores and restaurants. They have, like, super nice sightseeing. They have nightlife. They have nice restaurants. So So that's where you take the bucabus. You go on the bucabus, and it's 2.5 hours to get to Colonia de Sacramento, which is like the first little tiny town in Uruguay.
Okay.
And 2.5 hours goes by super quick because you're seeing like the river. There's a duty-free shop inside the bucabus. And it's very, you know, you have your seat. It's very comfortable. If you want to take some snacks, they sell also snacks there. So just in case, it's only 2.5 hours. Once you get there, you go into the port and you land in Colonia del Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
So this little town is the most magical town you will ever visit in your life. Well, as far as I haven't gone to another one yet, but it's so pretty. It's very enchanting. It's all made of pebbles, like the streets.
Yes.
The walls of the houses, they have kept them intact from old school, and the walls of the houses are all now painted in really nice colors. And they look very like vintagey. Like it's Instagram heaven. Like I'm gonna show you pictures, and you're like, really? Very pretty. It's a very small town. Imagine it's so small that you rent the little carts, like the golf carts,
Mm-hmm.
around it. Or you could walk, or you could bike, or you could do whatever you want. Very
But
enchanting.
wear comfortable shoes because of the
Oh
pebbles.
yeah, no, don't go in high heels. Not gonna fly because it's all pebble stones. So they have a lighthouse there. There's a lot of history there. The houses have really small doors from back in the day when I guess people were shorter. Like I think it's a very Portuguese, like they came to that town at some point many years ago. And they have kept it that way. So now what they did is they try to keep it not so touristy, which I find great because at some point when it's very touristy, it becomes very commercialized, right?
Yes.
But this is like you walk in there and it's like if somebody dropped you from 2020 to like back in the day in the time machine. And you feel that because the water and the boats and the pebble stones and everybody's so nice. The little restaurants they have them outside. So there's like the whole main street is like it has the church, like very old school, you know, the church, La Plaza. They have the church, they have the government little house, and then around it they have like the park, and then next to it they have all of the streets with the little restaurants.
Oh, that's so cool. It looks.
So they basically live off of tourists, but they allowed only certain amount of people in, and that's according to how many people come in through the buquebus.
Okay. So even the buquebus is limited. Like if
Yeah.
you didn't get in, you can't go there at all.
No, the buquebus is not like a regular bus that you just stop and you get on. Like you have to reserve it in advance. You have to confirm, and then there's only a certain amount of people. I think it's like 2 or 3 times a day that the buquebus go. Oh no, actually, I think 2. I think Danny that in the line knows how many times a day.
So you can technically go on in one day and come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason that we stayed is because I already had been there with my parents a long time ago, and this time around I wanted to make sure that my kid and my husband, like we got to see the whole town. We stayed in a really nice hotel there, but if you want, let's say like you're only limited to 5 days in Buenos Aires, right? And you could do 4 days, and now literally you can leave in the morning because they leave at 7:30 in the morning. You get there by 9:30, 10. You walk around the whole town. You have delicious lunch there. You hang around, and you're back in the last buquebus that I think it's like at 6 or 7 is the latest. And you're back in Buenos Aires at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, that's good.
So I think that's really great. Like you get.
I would totally do it.
Yeah.
So when you spend the 2 days there, what else did you do besides going to the little town? Did you venture off or?
Well, there's not much to venture out because that's it. But there's a lot of things to do in that little town. And you're going to see a little bit more how it is when I show you pictures.
Sure, you can show us now. Go ahead. I want to see already.
Let me see. Let me go to, hold on.
And you said you went with your children.
My kid.
Your child. Okay. So what child activities did you get to do? So this way, if parents are watching, they know like what they can do with their.
Well, I mean, in Uruguay, here in Colonia, it's very like, you know, he's still 6, so there wasn't really a lot of kid activities, but he was happy like hanging with the, you know, going up the rocks or seeing the lighthouse. There's also a huge collection of old school cars, and I'll show you that now. And he was super ecstatic with that. They're just laying around like everywhere in the streets.
Oh.
Do you want me to go straight to that, or you want me to do the whole
You
thing?
could start from the beginning.
Okay, so we're going back to Argentina then.
Yes.
All right, so that's me.
So beautiful. So those are the houses you were talking about?
I'm going to tell you something. I did not match for, like, I wasn't planning on matching my clothes with the wall. But today that I was editing, I was like, whoa, look at that. So that's how all the little houses look like. So there's some houses that are abandoned now, and there's some houses that people live there. And then there's other houses that they have been made into like artist dens where they sell their art and they paint and all that. All right, so let me start again, sorry. Let's go back to Argentina, right? So this is Buenos Aires. And the pink castle looking thing here is Casa, which is a presidential house. So this is famous for the whole Eva Perón and the balcony. This is the bank, the one right next to it. And I put these pictures up so you could tell how European style looking Buenos Aires is, right? Because it has a huge influx of European, especially Italians.
So beautiful.
Very, very, very European. This is the famous obelisco. So these pictures are important because you can see here, there's all of that people that you see walking there. That's what you see 24/7, even at nighttime. There's always people in the street, especially in this area because this is a very commercial area, right? From here, it's like the middle of everything, and this is where they go everywhere. It's also very cool because if you see the building on the back, one of them is very old school European, that round one.
Yes.
But then the rest are already like the new age that they built back in the 70s and the 60s, like more square looking.
Yeah.
The one that I have, the picture that I have on the bottom, I thought that building was simply amazing. And it was just a regular, it wasn't like any government or anything. It was just a regular old building that they kept intact.
Wow.
And
it almost looked like a building in New York.
Yes.
That has that shape.
You know why I took that picture? Because I have a picture when I was 9 years old in a building that looks like that in New York.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, it looks exactly the same. And as you can see, like if you see the second picture with the obelisk, there's a lot going on. They have the bus, they have the other people walk around and they do bikes, they walk, there's cars, everything you could possibly imagine. It's very beautiful, it's very nice, very loud.
And that was in December, which is the low season. Imagine if it's the high season.
Right. Well, this is not tourists. I'm pretty sure like a lot of these people were locals. Like that's what I'm telling you. There's the local scene in Buenos Aires, they're always out walking or they're always out like having lunch or having, you know, wine or doing this or doing that. But there's always people.
And I'm going to ask you about the wine, but I'm going to let you present.
Okay, so this is Caminito. Caminito is very famous. It's a neighborhood in Boca, in La Boca. And it's so pretty. Every little house is painted in this manner. This is a very touristy area. There's a lot of tourists here. And also the artists here, they sell the paintings from the houses that they do. And it's very famous because also here you have the Estadio de la Boca, which is a stadium for the soccer team, and La Boca and, you know, other teams are totally like against each other in Buenos Aires. So it's a really cool little neighborhood. That's us in Caminito. And I like this picture because right next to me, there's a street artist and she was dancing tango, the girl in the red. She was dancing tango right there, and then like they open up their little bucket, and then you give them money for the performances that they do. So it's very pretty. And then to the right, that's the La Boca Stadium.
So if they don't get to have a chance of going to Mr. Tango, they can definitely watch.
Oh, yeah. No, you're gonna see tango. Like we went because we got lucky to go to that show. But to me, street tango is 3 times better than any show that you could have, because you live it. Like they're street artists, they live for that, you know, and it's very, very pretty. And also in Caminito, what I noticed is that they get in an old school character. So their clothes is very like from back in the day, they're very vintage. Their whole character transforms into this like back in the day thing.
Oh.
Then this is one of the places where a lot of people don't go. Not very touristy, but I recommend, if you like nature, I recommend it 100%. Why? La Pampa is like the outside place of Buenos Aires. It's like an hour away. So there's just like this lands and lands and lands where people have farms and they have all these animals and stuff. And I went there because our friend recommended this place. Because if you don't go to Argentina and you don't have a good asado or meat, you didn't go to Argentina. Like
exactly.
Go back home.
Pretty much. If you don't have wine and asado, you didn't go to Argentina. Pretty much.
No, it did not happen. So we went to La Pampa, and this place that we went to, actually, I have the name here, or I'll give you guys a name afterwards. This little place was very nice because it was very traditional. As you could see, the guy that's doing the meat is dressed up as a gaucho, right? So the gauchos are the guys that back in the day, well, still now there's some gauchos in Argentina, of course, because you know that's their culture. But they take care of the land and they ride around in horses. And the next picture there, they were showing us a demonstration of how gauchos were, you know, settle the horses and how they were bringing all the other animals. And this particular place, it was like a whole day experience. So they picked us up. And then you go, you spend the day there. They have this whole show too. They have also a dancing show, like of the gauchos, which is a lot different than tango, which is very beautiful as well. They dance with these, they're like strings with balls, and they dance and they hit them on the floor. And they dance with their boots, because if you can see what he's wearing like boots, like he's very traditional.
Yes.
And you spend the whole day there, you see the show. I love nature, so I always have to include in my trips, because Buenos Aires is beautiful, right? But it's very architectural. It's city. It's a cosmopolitan city. So I always need to get out a little bit to like get fresh air. And I totally recommend La Pampa if someone's going to Argentina, they could spend like a day to do that.
Is there an option to do horseback riding?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yes. You could do while you're there, at any time while you're eating or you're hanging out or you're seeing the show, you go over to where the horses are at and they'll let you ride as much as you want.
Oh.
And I
cool.
love horses, so I was in heaven and my kid was in heaven too. And the food, that was amazing. And talking about the wine.
Do you remember what kind of meat, what kind of cut they were serving? Because I know they're very particular with like the cut of the meat and stuff like that.
They do bife de chorizo there. So it's a type of cut. It's a little bit bigger than the regular. I'm not a very meat person. I like meat. I eat meat, but that was delicious. Like it was really, really, really good. And to go along with your meat, of course, they give you wine, right? But they don't give you like a glass of wine going with the wine. They give you a bottle. And if you're finished, they keep on putting more.
Oh my God.
And then you get up because they make you dance at some point when they're doing their whole dance. When I got up to go join the dance, I was like, woo.
That's when it hit you.
I was totally drunk. My husband was making fun of me. I was dancing with my kid in the front. I was like, whoo, I like Argentina. It was so they stop. It's not like, you know, you could tell them, oh, no, thank you. Like they keep on. They're like, whoo, whoo, whoo.
So maybe doing a little training before you leave. Start drinking things before the trip. So when you're there, you can handle it.
Yeah, and then, you know, everybody drinks wine. Like in our friend's house, every day we had wine. I'm not even a wine drinker. I was having wine. So yeah, it's a whole experience.
Is there a particular wine that you picked and you brought it back because you just loved it?
You know what? If my husband's there, he could tell me. He's a wine lover. We brought like 20 bottles that our friend sent. So
Oh
I don't
my
know.
God.
To me, wine is wine, you know?
Yeah.
But the wine love, if I tell him that, he'd be like, what are you talking about? No, and there's a Cabernet, and there's Sauvignon, and this, and that. And you're like,
Yeah.
what? Like, okay, it's just wine.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to visit any vineyards while there?
No, they have, but they're over like farther out in Mendoza and other cities,
Mm-hmm.
which is really far out. Like it's quicker to get to Uruguay than it is to get to some cities within the country.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So this next one is one of my favorite activities that we did. This is San Telmo, which is a very iconic historical neighborhood, right? So as I told you, every neighborhood has their own thing going. This is La Feria de Antigüedades de San Telmo. So antique shop. And it's out in the air. It's so colorful and pretty. There's anything that you want that's antique, you can find there. And then also, if you see the girl dancing tango, that's what I told you, you see it everywhere, right?
Mhm.
It's very street-like. So the whole, what amazes me of traveling, especially to Buenos Aires, is with the tango, you see it and you feel it differently everywhere you go. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. This was more like um, in between the high-end performance that I saw in Mr. Tango and the Caminito, very antique looking. This was more like to get the crowd riled up and
Yeah.
everybody cheering and everybody. I even saw a lady crying, and I'm one of those too. I don't know why. Sometimes when I see people express themselves through dance or music, I'll start bawling. I'll be like, oh.
So
It was,
beautiful, right?
yeah, very pretty. They also have in the bottom, you see, it's the Mercado de San Telmo, which is the market. This, I think, if I'm not mistaken, because I can't really see. Hold on. I can't see the. Hold on. Just a second. Let me put this there. There we go. All right. This market was 1897.
Oh.
Yeah. So it looks like nothing from the outside, but when you go inside, the whole structure of it is 1897. So it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, very old school. And they sell like a regular market, like they sell fruits, vegetables, meat, anything you want.
So you technically spent a whole day in San Telmo.
No, not necessarily. We went, I think, a couple of, like 5 hours we spent there, probably.
Mhm.
Yeah. But then again, I'm a wanderer. So if you ask my husband, he's more of a, I came, I looked, I saw, I conquered, I left. I'm more of
Yeah.
like, let me go into the market and, be curious about that.
Yes.
So we also ate there, like right outside, right next to where you see the girl dancing. They have restaurants set up and little tables as well. So it's very pretty because you're listening to music all the time. There's people cheering. You could buy antiques. There's also a lot of stores where they sell, Brazil keychains and all that. But they also, what they have there is the Havana store, which is the alfajores. I don't know how to say that in English. It's like a round, very delicious treat.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. And then from
Sweet?
yeah, sweet, delicious.
Turrón?
No, you never
Dulce de leche?
tried an alfajor?
No, I don't think so. Like, is this like a cookie?
Oh my God, hold on. I'm
I'm
sorry.
not sure. Do you have a picture?
I'm gonna have to do this. No, I'm gonna Google it for you. I cannot believe you haven't had it. This is like the staple of Argentina. So they have like a huge building just that sells these. Look how delicious.
Esther says a caramel cookie.
Hey, that. Thank you, Esther. They're delicious. You have to try one now.
Oh, we're not seeing anything.
You're not?
Oh, because when you're sharing the screen, you're only sharing the ones where the pictures are. It's okay.
Let me go back then. All right. So next, Puerto Madero. As I'm telling you, there's a lot of things to do in Buenos Aires.
Mm-hmm.
So Puerto Madero I was telling you before, this is the dock. This is where you get the buquebus from to go to Uruguay. So that's the Rio de la Plata. And as you can see, it's very industrial, very old. And what they did is that they reformed it completely. and now it's very like hippie, upbeat, you know, restaurants, clubs. There's a really good restaurant there that's called Sígueme la Vaca, which of course it's about meat and wine and meat and wine and meat and wine.
Kind of what you go to Argentina for.
Yeah. So this next one, the reason why I like hanging out with locals is because locals tell you the best places to eat, right? So this pizza is probably the most, I don't know if a lot of tourists know about it, but I want everybody to know about it. It's a huge building, really old school. It was actually a theater before, because in Buenos Aires, the theater culture or opera culture is huge. In fact, Teatro Colón, which is one of the oldest ones, is there. And this was an old theater, and they turned it into a pizza place. We went probably like on a Wednesday, 11 o'clock at night. This place was ridiculously packed.
Oh, wow.
It's delicious. I totally, and they have, and you would think that, you know, because here in the United States, we're used to just like regular cheese pizza, pepperoni, salami, or that's it, or vegetarian. This place has everything you can imagine pizza. Like they literally put, like if you want your pizza with like out of strawberries and anchovies.
Really?
Like they make 20,000 types of pizza. And
I just like that mozzarella cheese you see right there with the caramelized onions. That looks amazing.
And then after that, you have one of those huge desserts that you see there. I don't know, like 5 scoops of ice cream. It was delicious. So I totally
You are speaking my language right now. Let me put here, get ice cream.
You have to. The ice creams there are delicious. Delicious. All right. This is another place that I feel that a lot of people don't know about. And it's also so beautiful. This is actually, it also used to be a very old school theater where they did a lot of operas in it. And they transformed it into a library, like a Barnes & Noble's, but in a
bookstore.
Yeah, in a bookstore. They actually, if you could see, like in the black part, they do music there. They do plays while you're reading or while you're looking for your books. It's and pictures don't do it justice. I tried to incorporate like the rawness part as much as I could. The whole top is painted. It's like it's beautiful. It's very, very, and it goes round and it's 4 stories up.
That is so beautiful.
I wanted to stay and live there. I thought it was amazing. I love books.
Just grab a book and sit in a corner.
Yeah, and it's so cozy and it's so arty, like it brings you back to all of the plays that they did there and all of the theater that went on. So it's very, very, very nice. So if somebody's going to Buenos Aires, this is like, and you love books and you love like art, this is beautiful.
Yes. Did you buy any books?
Yes, of course. My kid bought like 10, but I only got 2.
Wow. So when you go to Argentina, people, make sure you bring an empty luggage for all the shopping that you will do.
So many things you don't even know. You don't even know. Okay, so then this is where we went to Colonia, that I was telling you. So this is already Uruguay. It's called Colonia del Sacramento. So you see, that's my kid, that's my husband. And we rented that little cart. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was around $100 a day. From like morning to afternoon. And that's like the best, I mean, because we have a kid, that's why we did that. But if you don't and you like to walk, you can walk the town, you can bike the town, they rent bikes as well. You could do scooters, they have the scooters, or they have the little mopeds too.
And is it easy to navigate with the car and to park and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's such a small little town that you're gonna get more of an idea of how the town is. That going around in a car there, it doesn't work because it's all pebble stones. So the actual city, the actual center of the town, you can't go in there with cars because the little street, I'm telling you, it's like so 1500s that the streets are very narrow. So cars don't go through there.
Got it. Okay.
So this is what I was telling you. And that's so beautiful. Like if you could tell now the streets here, that's how all the streets are in the city.
Yeah.
The little town. And then all those cars are just laying around. Like they're from people that live there and they just have them outside. Like it's like a car museum. So my kid was super happy with that.
Aww. Adorable. I love it.
So this is the famous Calle de los Suspiros. This is one of the streets that I'm talking about that has the cobblestone little
Mm-hmm.
blocks. All of the houses are like this. They're colorful, they're nice, they're pretty. And I was telling you, remember about the little doors? You see my kid there? Look
Yes.
how small the door is. So we were, I was intrigued of how is it that, people would go in there because you hit your head. And then I
Yeah.
did the research, and it's because I was telling you when the Portuguese came, they were smaller and they did their little community there. And I guess that's how small people were. I think we've been growing.
And they just kept it like that.
And then they kept it exactly as is because it's a heritage site, so they can't
Okay.
transform anything. This is the old lighthouse, and you see how like around it, it was like a whole fort scenario. But through the years, it's been like the rocks have been breaking and such. They're trying to keep it and maintain it as natural as they can. But with time, older things they start breaking up. But they do a great job of keeping the little town really, really pretty.
Mm-hmm. That's really nice. And those are the restaurants that you were talking about outside and
See
things
the little
like that.
tables there? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
Everything
picturesque. I love it.
is
Those
amazing.
colors. You can go just taking pictures at every door.
Yes.
You know, there's some people that do that. They take pictures at every door because they're
No,
colorful and pretty.
up just 6 pictures of this. I was like, okay, I have 350. What? Why show? Because I love taking pictures. So like, I had a hard time doing that. But if you love like picturesque colors like this, it's this little city. It's enchanting. It's just enchanting. And then since no cars could get in, you see that how no cars are there.
Mm-hmm.
There's no pollution. There's like just people walking around, just like, there's like little coffee shops, there's ice cream shops. It's really cute. That's it.
Great. Tell us a little bit more about Femme Travelers,
Let me stop the share.
right?
Yes. Okay, so I'm back. So Femme Travelers started off with the idea with Esther that we wanted to get a community together and be a voice for travelers, especially female travelers, right? Because as I was telling you, there's different types of travelers. In our case, we're both Latinas, we're both bilingual, and I love what you guys do with Latino World Travelers. That's why I was like, oh, I love this. Because we wanted to give a voice to like the bilingual Latino Hispanic community in the United States. And then also to different types of females because Esther is about to have her first kid, but when she traveled, she didn't need to know about things to do with kids. In my case, I have a kid, so every time I travel, I do the whole "what can my kid do here" situation.
Yes.
There's other women that travel with their partners. There's other women that travel solo. There's other women that travel on a budget. So that was very important for us because we both love travel. We've always had, and I think that the idea started from there. So it's a work in progress, and we're slowly but surely we're trying to grow it. And we both are journalists, so we both we write, we produce, we do videos, we take pictures. I think we do too much.
That's fantastic. Thank you for doing that because we have to elevate our voices as Latinos, so especially in the travel industry.
Oh, yes. That's what we also noticed, that we're we're the minority anyways, but we're very minority-wise travel because not a lot, and then I think that that's why it was important to tell people, we're here for you. We got this. We could write you an article in English and in Spanish if you either know one or the other, so you could, the whole point of Femme Travelers is to just go travel and live the world, even if it's to your backyard, because I understand that traveling, it's a budget. You have to budget out and you have to get money. And sometimes money is just like not that easy to come by, right?
Yeah.
But if I learned something is that sometimes we don't realize that with our own city, there is so much to do.
There is.
Such nice places that I think that sometimes we're closed off to the idea that we have to travel out to go see the world. And there's nothing far from the truth, because once you finally like learn about your environment and your culture and you start like captivating that first, then you start to then travel. And I don't know if it happens to you, but travel takes over my soul. Like, it just feel like every time I go, and it's not even traveling outside of the country. It's like going to, for instance, I'm from Miami, and we have Wynwood here. We have the beach. We have a lot of like touristy places. I like to go just to explore on my own, and they just doing that just takes me into this. Like, I love this, you know. I like seeing people walk. I like the colors. I like the foods. I like all this stuff. So this is the whole point of why we started Femme Travelers. So to give more of like a bigger picture of, you know, it's not necessarily you have to travel to Europe to be a traveler.
Yes.
At all. Like, you have to know how to travel within your own first, and then, you know, start expanding. But then once you start traveling, right? You're screwed.
If you get the travel bug, there is no solution for that. There is no medicine.
Oh my God, tell me about it.
It's like your whole priorities completely change and your world revolves around travel.
Oh my, right? I wake up and I'm like, all right, where's my next destination? I was like,
yes.
yeah, it's a good thing, see, because I have that inside of me all the time now, that even in this pandemic that we couldn't go anywhere, I was like, oh God, please let me go out. The first thing I did when we could go out of the city is I went to Wynwood Walls. I walked all over by myself. I took pictures, like not even to showcase them anywhere. For me, I was just like, all right, this is good. I got my travel bug now. Okay. And then recently, 2 weeks ago, we came back from Tennessee. We went in car on a road trip. We went out to nature and the trees and the mountains and the Smoky Mountains. That to me is how I recharge from life. Yes. Like, even if it's like to the corner, right?
We're travel addicts.
Yeah, hashtag travel. You can say that, yeah.
Yes. Guys, if you have any questions about traveling to Argentina, Buenos Aires area, or traveling to Uruguay, please ask us. You can unmute yourself and ask it directly, or you can just put it in the chat. We want to make sure that we answer all of your questions before. Please.
I have to go. I don't want to go.
I don't want to go either, but just in case.
Wait, I'm going to take out my husband's wine bottle. It should be there. One of it's 25.
Yes. You said that the name of La Pampa, the place in La Pampa?
Oh, I should have been on top of that, right? I could send it to you later. I don't have it here.
That's fine. No worries.
Sorry, I messed up on my research.
It's okay. So when you went in December, you said the flight was about 500. In order to get from the airport to the center of Buenos Aires, is there a train? Did you get a taxi?
So the airport is a little bit far from the city, from Distrito Federal. It's like an hour and a half away.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, Buenos Aires is huge. So your best bet is they have taxis there, like not the pirate taxis. Never do that anywhere. Just make sure that you take your taxis from the people that have them outside, that they're actually legit. They also have bus services for the travelers that are more in a budget, or they know how to work themselves around buses. And then if you're going to a hotel, usually they have transportation. But it is a little bit far out drive. It's like an hour and a half away. And we flew through, I think also that's why our ticket was $500, because we flew through Santiago.
Okay. So you had a stopover. Okay.
Yeah, I had a stopover, and I decided to stay there a night.
Oh.
I want to maximize every single travel.
That's how I am. Some people say, oh, I don't like layovers because you're wasting time. No, those are the best.
At all. Yeah, so we had a layover in Santiago. And yeah, I try to maximize as much as I can where I can.
I have a friend who's from Santiago de Chile, and I always used to fight with him. Oh, but my Santiago was the first Santiago of the Americas, because I'm from Santiago in Dominican Republic.
Yeah. I get you. Okay, going back to the wine, you know what I remember now that I did drink over there? I drank wine with mineral water, with gassy water. Agua mineral, sparkling water, that's what you call it. So that I liked a lot.
Oh, so it's like technically having sparkling wine.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So that one I will chug down. And the next day I'd be like, oh, I think I have a little bit of a headache.
I can imagine. If you guys have questions, oh, thank you so much, Daniela. I'm glad you were here. And everybody else, thank you for being here. Please, if you have any questions, please, this is the time to ask.
See, Daniela responded to the whole ferry situation. That's what you call it. It's a ferry. The Bukemus. I was like, it's a boat. It's a thing. It's called a ferry. And it's twice a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Esther. And Lisandra. Now she's excited to go to visit Argentina. Me too. I really, really want to go.
Yes, you have no idea. It's so, so nice. The people are so nice. It's so pretty. There's something to do every single day. And as I'm telling you, if you're into architecture, you're going to have a freaking blast with all those amazing buildings. If you're into music and culture, tango and all that is just mesmerizing. If you're into nature, you can go out to La Pampa and do that. There's so much to do. That's what the first time around, I went for 2 weeks. I didn't finish seeing all of Buenos Aires because it's so pretty.
Do you normally eat breakfast in the hotels, or do you actually go out in the town and try their breakfast?
When we're in a hotel or Airbnb, we try to do like breakfast in the house, just to like save some moolah, and then we'll do lunch for sure out. But then in Argentina, we were at a friend's house, so we were mooching off of them for breakfast.
Yeah. What is a typical breakfast there?
They're very, very basic, very Latin America, very like bread, cheese, cheese spreads. They have the most amazing cheese spreads. Fruit juice. It's very, very typical, very Latin America. Egg. Oh, they have also croissants. They love little croissants. And also, let me tell you about now that it popped into my head, you also cannot go to Argentina and not have an empanada.
Oh, yes.
An empanada is, what do you call those in English? A patty?
Patty?
Cheese patty. Oh my God, you guys, it's the most amazing thing ever. And they also literally have it everywhere, like people's houses, in the stores, everywhere you go, there's empanadas. It's really, really good.
Is there any fruit that you try that you've never tried it anywhere else?
No, basically they have the same fruits like in Ecuador. Very South American. Yeah. And what I did find funny though is that they call, I don't know what you guys call the papaya. What do you guys call it in Dominican?
Yeah, papaya.
Papaya? Okay. So in certain countries, they don't call it papaya. They have another name like fruta bomba or some other thing. In Argentina, it's called the same thing. And I had thought that if for some reason, you know how they have that whole accent of theirs? So when they say papaya, they say papasha.
Yes.
You're like, what? Papasha. My name. I love going to Argentina because I love hearing my name.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I used to watch novelas of like teenagers.
Yeah.
And one was called Cebollitas.
Oh, I remember that.
Do you ever remember?
Yes.
And it was always with that accent like that.
Did you see Rebelde Way or did you see that?
I don't remember that one now.
So the reason I had it, my husband is this year. Cover your ears. I had the biggest crush on Argentinians when I was a teenager because of the way they talk. My name is Jessica, in Espanol Jessica, and they say Jessica. And you're like, what? Say it again.
Jessica.
Yeah. So I love their accent.
Yeah, that is so pretty.
It was, I mean, you could go also to Montevideo. I didn't say that in the talk, but if you go from Colonia Sacramento to Montevideo, you take another ferry and you're there within an hour. Montevideo is the capital of Uruguay. Yeah. We didn't go around this time, but it's very easy to do that as well.
I'm writing all this down because that's what I want to do. I want to go Uruguay, Argentina, Bolivia.
So the good thing is that since I did this whole presentation for you and I took out all the stuff that I had from my trips, now I have enough information and pictures to actually put together an article. So
yes. I took notes. I am a good student.
The article and it's great.
I love learning and I love hearing people's stories and knowing what they did, how they did it, because, you know, those are tools that we give other people so they don't feel afraid or They don't know where they're going. Like someone who's gonna watch this in our YouTube channel is gonna be like, oh my God, she did all that. I can do it too. And that's how we empower Latinos to not be afraid and like just go.
Yeah, just go with it. Like sometimes I think that we limit ourselves and we're like, you know, I don't know, maybe this, maybe no, just do it. Just do it the safest way, but do it because you're gonna get so much out of traveling and out of visiting other cultures. Like, I don't know, but I come back a little bit more kinder and softer and I don't know, I smile more, I guess, and you know, it's a good thing.
I used to be a high school teacher for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I travel with my students too. But whenever they graduated, my message always was, make sure that you travel somewhere. Always make sure that you travel somewhere. And what was the next thing I used to tell them? I can't remember. But it was always two things. Make sure you always travel somewhere. And if you need help, and I give them my business card, call me.
Yeah.
So if you need help.
Yeah. So Chad Gonzalez said Argentina, the land of the meat sweets. You better be a carnivore. Definitely on my list of places to go. Yes.
Yeah.
You are gonna. If you're a carnivore, that's your place right there. If you like wine, you're not even gonna leave it. You're just gonna go to the restaurants and eat. That's all.
They don't drink water. They drink wine.
God. Actually, it's super funny. They limit you on the water. They give you one water and then they charge you sometimes for the water. But the wine, it just keeps on coming and coming and coming.
That is so funny. Oh, he mentions the chimichurri here. Do they have chimichurri here, or is that an American thing?
No, the chimichurri, they have it. Yeah, it's from Argentina.
Okay.
Chimichurri, yeah, it's really, really, really good. You put it on top. It's, you know what it is. It's you put it on top of the meats. It's like it has like garlic and all the little spices. It's really, really good.
Oh my God. Well,
yeah, Dad, you do know Argentina.
You're already making me hungry, and I don't even know what I'm gonna do now because I live in Newark, New York, and there is nothing Argentinian around here.
Well, I'm here in Miami, so I'm lucky that there's a lot of Argentinian places.
Well, thank you so much, Jessie, for being here, for giving us all of this wealth of information. I am very thankful. And please, people, keep tuning in for our episodes so you can find people like her, such wonderful people, teaching the Latino community on how to travel. So let's keep it going. Best of luck on Femme Travelers.
Thank you.
And if you need any help from us, definitely let's partner up. Yes. I'm open to all partnerships.
We gotta talk. Thank you for creating this. And thank you for reminding me, like these things remind me of what, like, you know, my passion.
Yeah.
Like talking to you and sharing and getting excited over like showing you pictures gets me excited. Yeah. And I love it. So thank you so much. Follow me, Jessie Serrano, at Instagram, at Femme Travelers as well, or go to our webpage. And I would love to work with you guys. And invite me whenever you want.
Absolutely. Thank you. Un besote and have a great day. Buen día, chicos.
Ciao.
Adiós.